A very good evening and a warm welcome to all you lovely participants. Thank you for joining us today. There are some of you who would be joining us the second time today and would be aware of our host today, that's Mr. Tejbir Singh Bindra. For the others who are joining us for the first time, please allow me to introduce this wonderful gentleman. He has been in the education field for the last 10 years and is presently working as the IT head and CBSE in charge at Learning Path School Mohali. He has been actively training teachers from various schools in and around Mohali, and that has been since the last 4 years. He has also brought almost 12 schools to the Google Workspace platform during the last 2 years, making their lives so much easier as we know how difficult the pandemic has been for teachers likewise. Ladies and gentlemen, for him, his list of awards is endless. Please allow me to highlight some. His list of awards include being awarded a Silver Star by IDEA, that's Inspiring Digital Enterprise Award. He's always a keen learner, helping others and improving himself all the time. He has many certifications to his credit. To name a few, he's the GEG Mohali leader. He's GCE level 1 and 2 certified. He's a Nearpod and Kami certified educator and also has many Kahoot certifications to his credit. Good evening, sir, and very happy to have you here. Please take over.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks for so kind words. Good evening, viewers. Those who have joined us for the second day, we have already done how to start with your G Suite products for your level one exam. We have already covered your Google Docs. Today, those who are joining for the first time, we have already covered few topics, which we will again have a recap on day 5, a very quick recap. Today, the first topic that we are going to pick is Google Form. So for that, let me have my screen shared first so that we can move forward. So last time, if you remember, those who are on the second day, we had done Google Classroom as well, along with Google Docs, and there we had an create type as quiz assignment that we discussed that we'll do it next time when we have our Google Forms. So without wasting any time, I'll quickly open my Google Classroom. Now, Google Forms, you can do it in multiple ways. You can create a form through multiple ways. The very best way is doing it through the classroom itself. Now, this is my sample class that we created last time. And in the classwork tab, you see this create button. And here you have your quiz assignment. Now, this allows you to create a Google form directly inside your Google Classroom. You need not create it somewhere else and then import it here. You can do it directly from here as well. The other ways to open your Google Forms are you go to your Gmail, click on the waffle button, and you need to scroll down till you find your forms. This is one of the way. You click on this forms and your forms get open. And another way is you type in your new tab forms.google.com. This is also a way through which you can open your forms. Today, we are going to do it through your classroom and through quiz assignment. Now, Google Forms are of two types. One, which are graded or you can say auto graded, and one which are just created to collect information from the user. There is no marks, there is no answer key to that, there are no points awarded to that. We just have some set of questions and we collect answers from the users. So today we'll discuss about both of them. Now, this is R1 classroom. Let me give it a title sample test. And here you see by default a blank quiz has already been added for me. I didn't create this got added by default. The moment I click on this blank quiz, it will open the form for me. Let me close the other forms to avoid confusion. See, now this is the place where you land when you click on your blank quiz. So from our classroom, I directly clicked on blank quiz and I landed it here. The very first thing is you give a title to your form. So I'll keep this as sample test. And the name of the file will also be sample test so that when I go in my Google Drive to look for this particular form, I can easily find it. Instead of having it a blank form or untitled form, I'll give it a name. Now, Title is given. You can give us small or large description about your form. So just an example, this form is being created to check your knowledge on the topic of SQL. This is a description. You can have a long description as well if you want to give a more clarity about your test. Now, the very first thing comes is how to add your questions. Now, there are multiple ways of doing it, or we can say we have multiple type of question that we are going to add in our form. Now, the moment I click on this plus icon, you'll see a new question has been added for me. Let me remove this question and show you one thing first. By default, you get one questions in your form added for you. By default, only one question will come. For all other questions, you just need to click on the plus icon on the right side and your question will get added where to the next question where your cursor is. Now, how do you come to know that which question is selected right now? You see this blue bar here on the left side? This means this question is selected right now. Let me add one more question. Now see, the bar has come to the next question, not to the previous one. So if we have 10 questions, you can select or you can be in one question at a time. Now, which question is that? You can easily identify from this blue bar on the left hand side. So let us work on our questions. Now, you have multiple category of questions here which you can put in your Google form, ranging from short answer, long answer, multiple choice, that means only one option out of multiple can be selected, check boxes where you can select more than one option, drop down. Now drop down is a list where you see only one item at a time, and the moment you click on the drop down arrow, the whole list pops up for you. You can also ask for a file to be uploaded, which can be of any particular category like a PDF file, a JPG file, or any random file. And also size, you can mention how much can be the maximum size which a student can upload. Then we have a linear scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date and time. These are the various categories for which you can create a question. So let us say, what is the full form of SQL? Now I can give my options here as structured query languages, structured query language, straight query language, structured question language. I can give more options as well, depends upon your question type. I can either make it a multiple choice. By default, it has made it multiple choice for me. I can make it a checkbox type. You see, the icon has changed in the front of my options. It has now converted to a square box. I can also put it into a drop down. Now, what will happen in drop down is student will be able to see only one option at a time. But the moment they click on this drop down, like I just did here, they will be able to see a long list of all these options. I want to keep it as a multiple choice only. I'll go to my next question now. Which command is used to extract data from the table? Select, where, group by, or order by. So I can keep this as a multiple choice. Let me add a now new type of question now. Define primary key. Now this question cannot have a standard answer. Anybody can write their own words. So instead of taking it as a multiple choice, I'll take it as a short answer. Now here my students can type a short answer in form of text. It can go up to 1 to 2 lines. But if I feel my answer will be very long, I can change it to paragraph as well. So paragraph allows them to write rich text. That means a long paragraph they can also type in here. Depends upon the question. Now, as I said that we can make a form, one for collecting data, second for an assignment. Now, assignment or assessment. Now, if you are making your form as an assignment or assessment, you would like to grade it. Now, Google Form gives you a very good advantage that the questions which have a standard answer can be auto graded. For example, if a question is in form of multiple choice, checkbox, or any linear scale, you can put it into auto grade format wherein the Google form will get auto corrected itself. You need not do it. You just need to check your short answers, your long answers, or your drop this file upload that a student will do for you. So, in case you want to make it an auto graded form, you simply need to select a question. You'll see this blue bar has come here. This means this question is selected right now. You simply go to answer key. First of all, you need to give how many marks you want to award to this particular question. I want to give it 1 mark. You can only give round values here, whole values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot put 1.5 or 0.5 here. Just you need to remember that. So, whichever option I feel is correct, this option is correct. I'll select this. You will see a green tick has appeared at the right side. This means whosoever in will get open this form and select this option for this question will get 1 mark. So you simply need to click on done. You can also give an answer feedback if a student writes a or selects a wrong option. So you can write what will appear if you give an incorrect answer. You have selected a wrong option. Study again and attempt. And if the student gives the correct answer, you give a feedback. Well done. You have given a right answer. Just to motivate them. You can also put a YouTube video here and a link also here if you want to redirect them in case they give an incorrect or a correct answer. So if you click on this link, you can simply paste a URL link here and add it. And the moment a student selects a wrong answer, they'll be redirected to a link, the link that you have mentioned here. You can also put a YouTube video. You just need to you can either search it right now here, or if you have the URL with you, just paste it here and click on select. That particular video will be played the moment student gives a right or a wrong answer as you have put in here, either in incorrect or in correct answer, and click on save. Now this question will be auto graded, and if a student selects the second option, he or she will get 1 mark, others will get 0 marks, and this will be the feedback that will appear when the student attempts this question. For the next question, same process. You select this question, you go to answer key at the bottom left, you select the correct option, you give it a mark, feedback if applicable, and done. Now, what happened in this case? Define this option is visible here also, but if you give any feedback here or you give any answer key here, and there's even a small mismatch by the student, they will get 0 marks. So for long answer or short answer or for textual answer, this option is not recommended. This is only recommended when you have a standard answer, exact answer, which anybody can select. So let us see what other type of questions we can have. We can have, let us say, upload your answers here. So in this case, I can change this to file upload. So here, let respondents upload files to Drive. Continue. Yes, I want to do them. Whatever file they'll upload will be stored in my Google Drive directly. So if you want to allow only specific file types, you can select this. So these are the specific files which students can upload. If you want to give them a freedom to select any category of file, just keep this option off. how many files they should be able to select, 1, 5 or 10. 10 or less than 10, 5 or less than 5, only 1. Maximum file size for all files together. If I select 10 here and I give 10 MB, that means all 10 files, their size together should be less than 10 MB, not for each file 10 MB. So does that mean 100 MB here? It means 10 MB for all these 10 files selected. They can be 9, 8, 7 files, but the total size should not exceed 10 MB. So I can go up to 10 GB. I don't think so anybody will upload such a huge file here. And again, answer key option is still visible here. Next category, select your class. I want to give this as a drop down. I'll say 6A, 6B, 6C, and 6D. Now here, if you see, you can compare it with your this category or this category, but there is a change here. You see 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So the moment a student sees this question, he will not see all these 4 options like you can see it here. They will see it as a drop down, just like this one. The moment you click on the drop down, you will see all the options, but at any given time, you can see only and only one option. Now, suppose there are few questions where I want to show an image and ask the answers on the basis of that image. So in that case, what I can do is I can upload an image also. If you see here, between your question and question type, there is an image icon. So answer the questions on the basis of image attached. So I simply click here and you see you get multiple options to select your image. Upload from your hard drive, camera, by URL if you have a URL, from your photos, from your drive, or you can even directly search on the internet right from here. Let me take this image only. Now here I can put my question. Now what option do I get for this particular image? You click on these 3 dots. You have alignment options. You have change option. That means you want to change the image entirely, or if you want to remove this image. So these 3 options you get: alignment, change, and remove. So I can put my options here, or I can change this question. Identify the company from the logo. So this is the logo that I have given. And now let me make this as a checkbox. So this is company one and sub company one, sub company one, and sub company two. So in this question, student can select multiple options, all 4 or 1 or 2 or 3. Now here again in answer key, I can select multiple options. First of all, I'll give it a point, 1 mark. This option is correct and this option is also correct. So in case student selects these 2, they'll get correct answer. So I can select on done here. Next question. Now the next category we have is your linear scale here. Now in this linear scale, you have value from starting from 1 or 0 and going up till 10. So if I start from 1, this value starts from 2. And if I start from 0, this value starts from 1. So I'll take it 1 to 5, let it be. Now what option do you want to give? Agree and don't agree. So number 1 means you agree with this option and 5 means you don't agree. Give your feedback. So students can select any value ranging from 1 to 5. Now these are different type of questions that you can put. Now you have other options also like multiple check grade, date or time, which we can try. Now what all other options do you have apart from setting a question? If you go to the right hand side where we use this plus icon, we have further more options. The very first one is import question. Now, suppose you already have a test made for you and you want to use questions from that particular form. You don't want to type them again. You can simply select the form and import the questions from there. See, these are the three forms that I have in my this drive. You can also go to previously selected, no form there. But here, if I have any question in these forms and I click on this, let us select this only, select, you will see a list of questions appear here. This is this same form only. I've selected this same form only. Now, these are multiple questions that are there. Either I can select all of them and import them, or I can import any one or two or three of these questions, whatever you want. This can be any form for which you are an owner. The form which is shared with you, you cannot import from them. You should be an owner of that particular form from which you want to import your questions. So if I want to select any one question, see import questions bracket 1. That means only one question is selected. I select one more, this value changes to 2. So if I click on import questions, now see my these two questions have been added again. See Herbalife and your feedback. These two questions I selected, they are already there. See, this question is there. So these two questions got imported for me directly here. Next, add title and description. Now you can add a title also here and give it a description for any particular question. So see, this is a title and you can put a description just like we did here at the top of the form. In case you require to put that, a title and a description, you can do that also. Next, add image. What will happen with this image? We already seen this option here with the question name. This image icon was already there. Then what will this image icon do? Now there are few cases where we have multiple questions based on one single image. Now what will happen in this question? One question, one image. What if we have one image but multiple questions? In that case, we use this image icon. The values are same. You can select any value from here. Let me see. Let us have this question again only. This image title, answer all the questions given below on the basis of this image. So now, on the basis of this image, see there are no options for this. This is just an image with a title. You don't have any options for this. That means you need to add a new question based on this particular image. Identify the logo or whatever question you want to put. Now, all the next questions you can put, they will be based on this particular image. Let me take you back to this particular question where we inserted image from this icon next to the question. Now here the question and the options appear along with the image. But if we drag down here, there's only image title and image, but no options. So I have to add a new question here that will be based on this particular image. Same way, if you don't want an image, you want to give a video to your students, you can add a YouTube video as well. So you can either search it on internet or if you have the URL, you can put it here. Now, all the next questions will be based on this particular YouTube video that you have inserted. So you can either insert a still image or you can put a YouTube video. Last option is add a section. Suppose like in our exams also we have section A, section B, section C, or section 1, 2, and 3. You can create your sections here also. So after this particular thing, I want to add a new section. See, section 2 of 2. This is similar to what we have here. Now see here we have section 1 of 2 This is my first section. And now section 2. So we can divide our exam into multiple sections. So rest all remain same. You can add multiple type of questions, multiple questions. You can give answer key. Every option is all the same. Now, for any given question, what extra options do you get? So let me come back to any question here. Now see at the bottom right side, you have few options available. Duplicate. If you want to duplicate this same question along with the option, you simply click on this button, duplicate. Now see, the same question gets copied for you along with the options. If you have already given an answer key, that answer key will also be copied. By mistake, I did this. I don't want it. Delete this. This question has been removed for you. Required means this question will become compulsory for your students to attempt. Your form will not be submitted until this question is not answered. Whenever we fill a form, we must have seen a small star on the right hand side, red color star. That means that question is mandatory, compulsory. We need to answer that question to complete our form. So if I click on this, now this color has changed from gray to purple. That means this question is mandatory. My students need to answer this question before submitting your form. In this section, they can see all the questions, but they cannot move to next section even if they don't answer this particular question. They can only remain in this particular section. They cannot even go to next section. Form will be submitted after your all sections are attempted. So you can change this option as per your preference. And if you click on these three dots, you get few more options. Description. If you want to give a description to this particular question. Shuffle option order. I have 6 A, B, C, D in sequence order. If you want to shuffle your options, you can select this option. Go to the section based on the answer. Now, this happens when we are creating you can say do it yourself tour. Suppose I want to change the section on the basis of options selected here. So 6A, if a student selects 6A and click on next, it should take him to section number 4 directly. Skip section number 2 and 3. If he selects 6B, he should be redirected to section number 5. That you can do it from here. You can simply go to section based on answer. So for in front of every question, you'll get this option. If a student selects 6A, what should happen? Continue to next section, or if you have any other section, you'll be able to see them here, or simply submit the form. Same goes for all other options. 6B, same options. 6C, same options, and 6D. You can select any one section from here, any one value from here, either next, either section 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 if you have, or directly submit the form. So these are the different options that you can try with a Google form. Now I again come back to my Google Classroom. Now this is where I created my Google form. Now this form will be saved here only. Right from here, I can assign it to my all the students or a set of students which I have here to multiple classes or one class. I can give them a point, I can give a due date, and I can give a topic. So this is how you can create a form directly from your Google Classroom. This will be saved in your Google Drive. Students will not be able to see it until you don't post it in your assignment. You can even share the link of your form. Now, how to share it with your students? You can either click on send button, send it via an email. You need to put your everyone's email separated by a comma with a message. You can copy a link from here. This is a longer link. You can shorten your URL. You can copy it from here, go to your email, compose a new email, and paste it here. This is another way of doing it. By any other medium, you can send them the link, your class WhatsApp groups or any other medium that you use, or you can embed it. If you have a website, you can embed this form into your website as well. And also you can send it to your social medias, Twitter and Facebook directly from here. So this option is also available for you. Now, this is what you can see from a teacher side, how I have created this form. What if I want to see how does it look for a student? For that, I can go to this eye icon. The moment I click on this, it will take me to the read-only view of this. This is my paper that I have set. Let us see, this is my drop-down question. Now see, I can see all these options here, 6 A, B, C, D. This is my image. Now see, this is a required question. I tried to go to next answer, next question. It gave me an error. This is a required question. See, that error has gone. Identify the logo from here. I can do it. What is the full form of SQL? I can do that. I can do it here. Define primary key. Let us say primary key. That's it. I can upload a file. The moment I click on add file, I can select my files from here, either from my hard drive or my Google Drive or my previously selected files. Remember, this is a student view. I duplicated this question, so I see it again because I import this question from other form. Same question. Now, on the basis of this image, I can have multiple questions, and this is my linear grade. So 1 means I agree, and 5 means I don't agree. And this is one title that I added, and next. This is my next section that I created. And in the end, I get my submit button. So these are the options that you can try with your Google Form. We also have a color theme. You can customize your colors from here, your background color, your font style, your theme color, you can change from here. You can also put a header in your image in your header. Here at the top of your Google Form, you will see an image that you choose from here. Settings. Now, these are few settings that you would like to change for your form. Make this a quiz. That means if you make this a quiz, you can import your grades directly into your classroom. How will you release your grades? Immediately after submission or later after manual review? In case your exam has only multiple choice questions, do it immediately after each submission. But if you have some short answers or paragraph answers or manual review answers, please select this option. These are other settings that you can do for missed questions, correct answers, default point value, responses. Do you want to collect the student's email? Allow response editing. That means after submission, should they be able to change their answers or no? Limit to one response. Once submitted, they cannot change their answers. Any defaults that you have, collect email by default, and any question default that you have. So these are few of the options that you can try for your Google form. I would like you all to try these options, and when we meet next time, we can discuss if you have any queries in this. This is all about Google form. Now we'll quickly jump to our next topic of the day, that is Google Sheet. Now again, the same option how to open your Google Sheet, either the waffle button, Sheets icon, or again new tab, sheets.google.com. Remember all these G-Suite apps, your docs, your slides, your forms, your sheets, they can also be opened directly from your Google Classroom. If you have only Classroom open right now, not your email, you can also open or create a new sheet, slide, or your sheets right from your Google Classroom itself. So let me create a blank spreadsheet. Now these are the templates that are already there for you. If you want to choose any one of the templates, you can do so. I'll go with my blank. Now this just looks like an Excel. We all have been working in Excel. So this is just a replica of your Microsoft Excel. It is a spreadsheet spread with number of rows and number of columns. We have your column names ranging from A going till double A, double B, double C, like that. And then we have your numeric row numbers going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Any particular box that you see here, rectangular box known as cell, has an address. Now this address is a combination of row number as well as column name. So starting with column name and then followed by row number. How can I see or how can I identify which particular cell I have selected right now? There are multiple ways to identify that. First of all, that cell will get a blue border. That means this cell is selected. Even if you don't want to go with this, or at this point on this left side at the top, you will see the D3 written here. D3 means D column and third row. See, I'll change my position and the value also changes from here. H9, K3, B7. So this is how you identify which particular cell you are in right now. So basically here we work with a tabular form of data. I'll quickly create a small table, student name, English, Hindi, Punjabi, and math and SST. That's it. So let us say ABC, PQR, JKL, MNO. These four students are there. Then we have 80, 78, 65, let us say 79. Then let us have quickly 84, 85, 86, 87, 79, 77, 75, 72, 65, 70, 75, 68, and 72, and then I have 79, 82, 83, 4, 75, and 77. Now, if you look carefully at this data, we have textual form of data and we have a numeric form of data. But if you look at their alignment, text is all aligned towards your left and your numbers, digits are all aligned towards the right. This is a by default setting. I can change this alignment. I can just simply select this data, and this is my alignment icon here. Horizontal alignment, left, center, right. Remember, if I select any one of these three, it will be applicable on whole set of data. See, middle. Now whole data comes as a center aligned data or right aligned data or left aligned data. So this is your formatting toolbar as we get in Microsoft Excel. You can select your data and apply any type of formatting on it. For example, changing it to bold, italics, changing the font size. You can change the background color. You can give them a border. Now, these are different type of borders available. Let me give it an all border. Now see, there's a thick line covering these all cells. I also have an option to sort my data. And I also have an option to filter my data. Now let us quickly see about filter. Now, if I click on create new filter here, oh, I have one extra row here. This will give me issues. Let me delete this row. Yeah. So see, now you see this filter icon at the topmost row. This means filters are always applicable at the top row of the selected data. Now, if I click on this filter, I'll see all the values written in this particular column. If I select or deselect any of the options of the values, then that is applicable to whole set of data. See, if I selected students with marks 80 and 79 in English, then only those students will be shown with their marks in all other subjects. That means this filter is not applicable on single column, it is applicable on whole set of data. If I want whole data back, simply click on select all. You see a tick mark in front of every options and okay. I have my data here sorted. Sorting. You can sort your data in ascending order or descending order on the basis of one particular column. Now, how to do that? Simply go to data, sort sheet on the basis of which column. Right now, the first column is B. That means it will sort the whole set of data on the basis of student name. So if I do that, now see, this whole data has been sorted, including my title row. But that also has a value. I don't want to do this. I simply select this set of data without my title row. And now I go this. Again, I go this. And what can be the issue here? Why is this whole data getting sorted along with the title row? What can I do for this? There's a way out for this. You also have your sort range option and advanced range sorting options here. Here you see data has a header row. That means my first row should not be sorted because that is a header row. Sort my data on the basis of which particular column. Earlier it was giving me only one option, student name. I want to sort it on the basis of Hindi marks. So that I can do from here. Ascending order A to Z or descending order Z to A. So I can, let us do it Z to A. If you want to sort your data on basis of one more column, after this, you can edit here and edit here and keep on adding. If you don't want them, you can remove them. So if I have two columns selected here, that means it will first sort the data on the basis of Hindi column. And in case there is a value which is repeated in Hindi column, then it will go to my SST column, and on the basis of SST column, it will sort these two particular values which are same. So right now this won't make any effect here. So I am going to remove this sort. So on the basis of Hindi only, descending order, title row not sorted, only the data has been sorted for me. So this is how you can sort your data in ascending or descending order. Now, one more interesting thing that you can do in your Google Sheet is create charts. Now, charts are your, you can say, picture representation of your tabular data, which give you a more clear understanding. Now, you can either go to insert and chart, or you have a shortcut icon on your formatting toolbar as well. Chart. Now, see, a chart by default, a column chart appears for you. You can change the chart type. Now see, there's a window also open on right hand side with multiple options. The first thing is change the chart type, column chart in this form, or you can change it to, you can scroll it down. You have your line charts, you have your column charts, you have your pie charts, scatter, and multiple other categories as well. So I want to keep it this way only. Stacking, none, standard. You can see it will change your to stacked form. I don't want this. I want individual bars. This is your data range. That means your table is based on the data ranging from B column till G column. If you want to skip some subject, you can do it by deselecting it from here. What data should come on your x-axis? By default, it is your student name. This is correct. These are the series. That means the first series is ABC. Then for MNO, these are student names actually that are being represented here. Customize. If you want to change the chart style, that means you want to change the background color or its theme or this border color or any other option, you want to do it from here. Titles, you can give a chart title, you can give a axis title as well from here. So title text is coming right now. This I want to change it, marks in 5 subjects. Sorry. See, the title has changed. I can change it to bold, italics. I can change its alignment to center align, title text auto color, or whatever you want to change. Series, if you want to change the series from here, your line dash type, your line thickness, axis should be your left side or right side. You can do it from here. Legend, right now the legend is coming here at the top. You can change it from here. You don't want your legend, you want it at top side, bottom side, left side, right side, or even inside your chart. See, this has shifted inside your chart bars. So you can change it from here. You have options for your horizontal axis as well as for your vertical axis, different options. And then you have your grid lines. Do you want a grid line? This is a grid line. If you can see in front of 100, right now it's thick gray color. You can do it from here. You can change it from here. Minor grid lines you want major ticks. See, there is a tick here now in front of 100. You want your minor ticks. See, these options you can choose from here. This is all about chart. We'll cover more about chart in your Google slide as well. Now Google Sheet is also used for your formulas. Suppose I want to have a sum of all the values of a particular child. I can use a formula here. Either I can type the formula is equals to sum. These are all the formula that start with some word. Or I can simply go to here, functions, and this is a list of the formula that I can use. All function will give you the list of whole list available, whatever function you require. Yes, you don't have all the functions that you have available in your MS Excel, but most of the formulas that you require, the commonly used formulas, are available here. So let us say average. Now average starting value and ending value. Either I can type the cell address or I can select the range, whatever way you find convenient, and enter. Now see, the very best thing is you see a suggested autofill here. If you want to apply the same formula to the next rows, you need not do anything except clicking on this tick. See, the same formula gets applied to all the next rows. You can also find a maximum value from this whole set again. If you don't get autofill, you can do it yourself by clicking on this square icon at the bottom right corner and drag it down. So you get to know 87 is the highest value. Same way you have your sum, min, all these functions are there for you. So Excel, you can modify your data. You can do a formatting of your data. You can create your charts on the basis of your data. You can also use your functions in data. Now, these are the questions or these are the things that you should know when you're attempting your level 1 exam. In case you are going for level 2 exam, you need to know more options like pivot table and your more formatting options, your conditional formatting, your other extension that you can use, and the other tools that are available for you. For just having your level 1 exam, these are the basic options that you should know. Right, you have formatting options from here, you have alignment, you have wrapping, you have your rotation of the text, you can change the rotation. You also have insert rows, columns, sheets, charts, pivot table. As I said, you can do it in your level 2 exam. Image, you can also add an image either inside a cell or over the cells. This chart right now is over the cell. This is not inside any one particular cell, this is over the cell. But if you select this, insert an image in the cell, then the image will come in one single cell, not over the cell like your this chart. Then you can add your functions from here as well. All those functions that were available there are available here as well. If you know the exact formula name, you can put it yourself by typing is equals to and function name. Whatever function name you type, all the associated function with this particular word will appear here. All the formula which have count word in it will be displayed here. So as per your choice, as per your requirement, you can select your formula. So this is what we have for your Google Sheet in this particular category. And the last topic for the day will be your Google Meet. Now, we all have been using Google Meet to take our online classes from last 2 years or for having our online workshops and webinars and other departmental meetings or what else. Now, Google Meet has been now integrated inside your Gmail as well as in multiple other platforms like your Google Classroom and your Google Slides also. So now we have multiple ways to start your Google Meet. The very first and basic way is right in your Gmail, at the left side, you have your Meet New Meeting. This is the button that you see here. If you are going to start a new meeting, you click on New Meeting. And if you have to join a meeting for which you have a link, you can choose Join a Meeting icon. So I have clicked on New Meeting. I can either send an invite to my friends or family or my colleagues. I can copy this code and send it to them by any other medium that I want, email or WhatsApp or any other medium. Or I can simply start now my meeting from here without sending an invite. One way. Second way, again, your waffle button, and then you need to look for your meet icon. So this is where we land. You either click on new meeting or you have a code or link that has been shared with you. You type that or you paste your code here and you get a join button here. This is not highlighted right now because I don't have a meet link. If the moment I type a meet link here, a valid meet link, this will convert to blue color and then I can join. One more way to do it is through meet.google.com. Then we land on this page. And as I said, we can do it through our classroom as well. Let us see how can we do that. So this is our classroom. This is the class that we created last time. Okay, I have not done my settings here. In my Google Classroom as well, I can see Classroom Meet link. You don't have permission to create or edit meet link. I need to contact my admin. But if you are a G Suite education user, you will get an option here to put your this Gmeet link in your Google Classroom itself. The moment you switch on this option, you get a meet link here below your class code, and you can simply click on join meeting, and your meeting for this particular class will start. All the students who are participant of this class will also do the same. They'll click on this particular join button, and then they can also join their class. So you need not send any code to your students every time. One single button, you click, you start the meeting, your students click, they join the meeting. So let me start a meeting here, a new meeting, start an instant meeting. Now you land on this page. You can see these are the options that you get here. You have your mic icon, you have your camera icon, you have your captions, you can share your screen, you can disconnect the call, you can see your participant list from here. All the people who will be in this meeting, you will see their names here. You can add people directly from here as well. You click on add people, you can invite them. I can invite any of the person who email ID I have. These are the host controls that you have, whatever your admin has given you. You have your chat window here, like we have in our any other email platform, where we can, you can say, communicate with our audience. So you can send a message, or your audience can send you a message, you can reply it back, and vice versa. You can stop this option, let everyone send messages. That means now, as I am the host of this meeting, I can only send a message, but nobody can reply me back. So this is good when you're sending your feedback form link or any other links which students need to click and open. They need not say anything, they do not reply back, they simply need to click. So you can switch off this option as per your requirement. And when you click on these three dots, you have multiple other options. You can use a whiteboard like a Jamboard. You can change your layout. Let us see. Now this is an auto layout. You can have a tile layout where you can see multiple participants in a small tile. This value ranges till 49. You can have up to 49 participants, including yourself, in this tile. Spotlight, that means the speaker will get the spotlight. Rest all will come on a side. Sidebar. Now one speaker and only 5 to 6 participants on the right side. Spotlight will only have your speaker. Only speaker screen will be visible to you, but in sidebar, speaker as well as few participants randomly will also be visible on your right hand side. So these are the multiple options that you can do it for your. Now, the moment you click on this red icon, hang up call, you have option either just leave the call or end the call for everyone. If you just leave the call, then your students will still remain in the class, and anybody randomly will become the host of the class. So whenever you are leaving the class, always end the call for everyone, for your safety, so that nobody is misusing in your presence. So you just simply need to click on end the call for everyone, and your meet will get over. So we have multiple ways to open your Google Meet, but whatever way you choose, the screen, the landing screen will remain the same. You go to waffle button, click Meet icon, you have your meet.google.com, you do it through your Google Classroom. All the ways land you at same point. All the same options you get. You choose any of the way, your options are not going to change in any of the medium that you choose to open your Meet. So this is all what we have for the day. We have done three things today. We have your Google Forms, we have done your Google Sheets, and we have done your Google Meet. Anybody who has any query can put it in the YouTube chat window. I'll be happy to answer your queries. Or if I can have to book them, I'm back. Anyone who has any queries in today's topics or the previous topic that we have done the other day, you can just put it in your chat window.
So, sir, we have a question. What about students who join randomly and are not from your class and they create nuisance?
In that case, I'll always suggest that you use Google Meet code instead of using a Google Meet link. So let me quickly share my screen and show you. So Google Meet. Now this is the trick that we follow here. Instead of giving a link, we first of all you should always have a G Suite admin console, which should make a ID for your students, which only students should be responsible for handling. So I'll be either adding them to my Google Classroom and I start my meet directly from there. And in case a student tries to join from any other ID, I'll get an error message. Student name ABC outside your domain is trying to join your class. So you'll get a message over there. Simply deny that entry. One way. Second way is instead of giving a link, I have a meeting code here. Now, what standard we follow is we follow the standard class name and subject name. This code will work only and only if your students and you are starting the meeting from your domain provided email IDs. If you try it from any personal email ID, this code will not work at all. You will always get this code does not exist. So I'll suggest if your school has a G Suite admin console or you are a G Suite user, Google for Education, then create your IDs through your admin console, give it to your students, and tell them to join the classes from their school given ID only. Same goes with your teachers. So if I click on this, see, could not find this meeting you are trying to join. This is my personal email ID, and I'm trying to join this code. This is my school code. I cannot join this. You'll get an error. You must not be signed in with the right account. So either you use your codes and secondly use your school provided IDs only, and then you'll get an error message that somebody outside your organization is trying to join your class. You can simply deny that entry. I hope this answers your query.
Yes, yes. Then there is someone, Aparna ma'am wants to know about screen sharing.
In Google Meet screen sharing, so let me start a Google Meet here. I'll start a new meeting, an instant meeting for you. Now you can see this a square icon with an up arrow here, which is for present now. We call it present now in Google Meet. Share screen word is used in Zoom and many other applications. Here we have a name present now. Now this gives you multiple options: entire screen, a window, a tab. Now they have their own use. Now, if you want to show multiple windows randomly by switching from one window to another, you go for entire screen. It will give you this box. You click on this box and share. Suppose you want to show them only one window and you want to hide all other windows. I have these three windows open right now, but I want to show them only this window. Then these two windows will not be visible to my students. Remember, if you're doing share screen, your whole screen, then they can see everything that is happening on your screen right now. So if you want to hide everything else except this particular window, select this share. And the third option is share tab. This is the best option when you have to show a video to your students. Now, in most of the cases, your audio is not clear when you select your share window or your share screen. For that particular reason, Google has come up with this solution to select a tab. Now, this is best solution when you have to share your video. Your audio quality is too good here. So these are the multiple tabs that are open right now in my this particular window, and I can select any one of these. Then only that particular let me select only this inbox. So only and only this particular screen will be visible to my students, nothing else. They cannot see what I do other things in my this particular window. They cannot see that. So these are the three options that you have. Either you select your whole screen if you are switching between your multiple windows. If it is one window, then go with a window. And if there's only one tab or a video especially, then select your a tab option.
Sir, we also have a question that when we share screen from mobile and play videos, audio don't come.
Yes, because these applications are not meant for using through mobile phone. Yes, we have got an option, we have got an app for this. This happens in multiple other platforms as well. If you do it through your Zoom or other teams also, you get this option because your mobile phone is taking data. It's taking mobile data. It's not a constant data that you are getting. Even if you have strong Wi-Fi connection, still your mobile data connection interrupts between. So it is always suggested when you have to share your screen, do it through a laptop or a tablet at least. Where you have a bigger screen, first of all, you are also able to see more of data. See, mobile phone is just a 6 or 7 inch screen. Laptop, you have 15 or 14-inch screen. Tablet, you have 10-inch screen. It is always better. You see more data and you have more options there. App will always app will have a limited options and it will also have some limitations to it. Yes, we have got an advantage that you can join your meetings through here, but it's not meant to directly teach from here. Yes, many people don't have the resources. There are some government schools we don't have it. For students, it's fine because they just have to see. They just have to look at the data. They don't have to do anything. They can pin to a screen and they can see the whole screen. But for a teacher who has to show multiple resources, laptop and tablets are always suggested. Mobile may you always get this interruption due to your weakness of data. Either even if it's a strong Wi-Fi data, you'll always get this issue.
That's it, sir. These are the only questions that we have so far.
Okay, so thank you so much, people, for giving us your time. Uh,
Yeah.
again. So
No.
we all will see you next week, same time, and we'll have few more tools for you. We'll try to cover Google Slides next time, the presentation tool for which we have Microsoft PowerPoint that we are commonly using, but we have very beautiful options in Google Slide that we'll discuss next Saturday. So see you
Also,
all next Saturday. Yes, ma'am.
sorry, also requesting everyone to please fill up the feedback form for Tegbir sir for today's session, which I have just shared in the chat box.
Your feedback helps us to improve ourselves. See, whatever feedback you give, our next session totally implements all your suggestions that you give. So please do fill up the feedback form.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, sir, for yet another great session. Looking forward to the next one next week on Saturday, same time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone. Very good evening to all.